She's on her way to grandma's house. Daytime to grandma's house. Lost and turned out. Well, lost and turned out. Oh, lost and turned out. Lost and turned out. What's up, y'all? It is bright and early. Sunday, the 3rd of October 2016. How y'all doing? Yes. You on the backside of your weekend? Yes, you are. Yes, you are. How are you doing? I hope that your weekend you were able to find peace. You were able to give yourself what you rightfully deserve. And that's you, because you're worth it. You're priceless. And guess what? It's your experience. There'll never be another you. You understand that, right? So, how's that investment going? Hmm? How's it going? You investing in yourself? I know this week somebody got up and finally stood up. That's right. Yes, you did. You got up. You said, you know what? I'm ready to grow. And you know what? I commend you on that because, see, your greatest commodity is what? Your time. So don't you think that it's very important that you govern it? How about who you allow access to it? Not everybody's supposed to know your name. Not everybody's supposed to know your story. Not everybody has earned the right or will ever earn the right to walk with you. That's why it's very, very important. The greatest relationship you're going to ever have next to God is the one with yourself, yo. That's what defines your identity. That's what uplifts what's found in you. How about your emotions? Do you realize that if people were not afraid to embrace their emotions, we would not have half of what makes our reality today? There would be more truth spoken. There would be more accountability demanded than the fear that makes up what you see outside your door. That's right. That's right. And the real question should be asked, why not? Who am I talking to? I got a feeling this weekend is going to be a pivotal weekend because there were some things you were not aware of. hmm You weren't aware of it. You felt it though. And you were saying to yourself, am I crazy? Why do I keep seeing these nuances play out over and over and over and over again? And you were having this battle within yourself. You know why? Because that person, yeah, that little boy, that little girl that lives inside you, you do understand the little boy and the little girl that lives inside you, you owe everything to. Not the person you snuggled up with, not the person you're related to, not the person that you break bread with, not the person that you spend time on this thing right here. You. So why do you think I always convey this? Do you know who you are? Do you know? Because if you knew who you were, why wouldn't you give yourself what you need? If you're spending half of your time through looking at what makes your perception from an impulsive or impulsive viewpoint, guess what? You have more or less given freely what you stand for. But here's the kicker though. There's no reward in being a victim. You know, I've been echoing the whole sentiment of being a victim and looking at that because unfortunately there has been a facade that's been playing out, y'all, for many, many generations. And that facade has made up what is instilled in our young. Yeah, we can blame a lot of that on society. We can blame a lot of that on propaganda because that's what makes your media. Oh, you do understand that, right? 50% of what you see is truth. The other 50% is denial and deception. You do understand that's how your advertisers make money. They have to inspire you to go inside your wallet or inside your purse. Why? The end game is your money. But see, when you tally up the actions, what you don't find a lot of times is accountability. You don't find accountability because there is no authenticity. And unfortunately, what ends up happening is you get sold by the lowest bidder. I'm saying this to y'all because reality with technology, we should be moving forward in society. There should be no there should be no barriers. There should be no blocks. You know, I remember when growing up in the 80s and watching the evolution of the computer. I told many of y'all one of my greatest regrets thus far in my life was I had an opportunity. I was 18 years old, had an opportunity to invest in fiber optics. And I was so naive to what it was. And for $10, 1,000 shares. But being a young guy, I've always had a job since I was 13, actually. Started off as that little kid in your neighborhood pushing that lawnmower. Lawnmower didn't even have four wheels, it had three. But I had a work ethic unlike any. I had a little business. I was that kid bright and early Saturday. First of all, you got to take care of home. With that rusty, dented up gas can with a dent in it, I pushed it. I trudged on through the heat because I knew that I've always been my own man. Always. And I don't mean that out of being disrespectful. I learned at a very, very young age that life is not fair, but the only way it can be balanced is when you speak your truth. How can anyone give you what you need if you're not able to feel comfortable to speak it? But see, that is the problem today. Because today we are cultivating people that have introverted personalities. You see it all the time. When you're on social media, you always have that one person that's always there. And then you say, well, how is it they're able to be on fully invested in whatever it is on different options of the day? Like, do they not work? What do they not have a life? I remember when we used to criticize people that spent so much time online. We did. We used to always look at them. Oh, you the old guy with the greasy T-shirt and sitting. We used to look at it that way. That was the stigma that was given. Little did I know that that same archetype would be introduced to our young. Now technology, instead of being a tool, it has now become a vice. Yeah, some people that are actually going to uh, uh, addiction awareness classes because of technology. Oh yeah, because see, the price of technology is unless you're grounded, it becomes your reality. Well, if your reality is based off of what you see, that leaves you vulnerable to be exposed to the things you don't need. It shapes the perceptions of what you view without it being founded. So it doesn't surprise me now because society will never take accountability for what it puts out. I remember when Charles Barkley, NBA legend, uh, Hall of Famer for Philadelphia 76ers, and he eventually concluded his career in Phoenix. And he was the first one that said, I'm not a role model. Your parents are. And he caught a lot of flack because of that, but he was speaking truth. Because the truth was, Charles was being Charles. Charles was living his life. Charles did not live to the expectations of the public opinion, but we willfully do it today. And with that being said, I saw a correlation of why, even still, the generational curse continues. Why the Jezebel spirit, she does so much damage. Because once we allow that spirit into our house, that's why you got to be careful, y'all, who you allow through your threshold. Don't you realize that separates protection from exploitation? Do you realize that? I always, every now and then I throw this out. That's why I feel it's always good if you're going through something. I'm going to just throw this out now because I'm talking about it, that you get you some of this. You know what this is? Somebody said, that's wheat. No, this is what we know as white sage. And you burn it. You burn it and allow the smoke to go past every door sill, every window, every mirror, every closet where you lay your head. You do it for two reasons. Number one, that is a blessed plant. That's why you hear about it talked about so much in the Bible and religious doctrine, because it's blessed. And number two, negative energy, demons, they don't like that. They don't like that at all. But the beautiful thing about it is, if there is someone that has this trait, guess what? It'll bring it out of them. You'll know. You will know. And I'm not talking about no Dawn of the Dead, zombie apocalypse. No, I'm not talking about, because really we make a mockery of that, but really we're living in that environment. We're living in that environment every day. You don't even realize zombie and that's nothing but your addicts. Do you not see the correlation? They're making money off of your pain. See people walking around in trance like that. That ain't nothing but a person that is strung out. But we can go deeper and say, well, you know what? That's still someone's son. That's still someone's daughter. That's still someone's father. That's still someone's mother. That's still someone's history, part of your lineage. Y'all, do you realize how fragmented we are as a community? We are willfully allowing those who want you to be confused, who want you to be distracted. They love a distracted person. Why? Because until you realize how valuable your life is, you're not a threat. That's the number one rule that opportunists stand by. They can't afford for you to start loving on yourself. And when I say start loving on yourself, I'm referring to giving yourself what you need so the best you can be appreciated on this planet. See, we unlock that key, but what requires to turn the lock is truth. Most people can't handle the truth. Most people are terrified of it. And unfortunately, half of the populace, as we know, as a human race, run. Spend half their lives running from that little boy and that little girl that looks back. Because see, unfortunately, if you're at peace, why do you hold on to your pain? Most people that hold on to their pain is because they don't have the tools to want to correct it. That's why I use the term heal. See, you can't call yourself strong if you're not willing to deal with what is considered an obstacle in your life. But there'll be plenty of people that will talk you out of that, though, now won't they? Who am I talking to? And then when you look at society and how we have progressed through the ages, how is it that we are literally knocking on the door of segregation in 2016? If you don't like what you're seeing in your environment now, y'all, I highly, highly encourage that you start doing the work. Because there are going to be some people, they're going to do this. They're going to do this. They're going to do this. Now tell me you ain't seen that before. Monkey see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. When you look at that, that is a person that is not willing to see the truth, and that is controlled. So who's the slave? Who's the oppressor? You are. And the question should be, why? You know, one thing I learned at first, it started when I was a child. I could never understand why women, when they were upset, they were more animated in their expressions. As I grew, went through my teens and went through my 20s, I kept seeing the same behavior no matter where I went. And I've been all over the world, y'all. And I've seen it indirectly because I never allowed, first of all, you're not going to come at me like that. Why? Because I'm not going to give you a reason to. I'll look at you like you're crazy, but I'll also stand with you and hopefully you will come through it. But most people won't do the work. They'll gladly sit in that easy chair called denial. You know, that lazy boy, comfortable, feels very safe, no requirement. That's called time. See, time will always be there for the selected few, but what's required is the action of how you use it. But I'm not telling you something you don't know. But what I'm curious about is, what did that pain, what did that burden, what did that denial do so well that it had been rewarded by your loyalty? See, we have grown in an age in social media society that we have labels now. Oh, she's just a black woman angry. Hello. Doesn't matter if she's from Bangladesh, she's still angry. She's still a woman. But I saw the nuance in that. It's also connected to when you ask for truth. It's the opposite. And the question is, why is the loyalty of not telling the truth? Are you afraid that if you told the truth, you would have to take accountability for the role you played in it? Because see, that's the one thing about truth, y'all. The truth is like this wall back here. It's there. It doesn't say anything. And it produces the same thing in return. It's solid. So why is it that some of you might know somebody right now waking up in the same state of mind that they've had for the last 15 years of their life? If that is not dedication, I don't know what is. But nobody's going to watch you die slow. No one's going to watch you willfully destroy yourself from the inside out. A friend won't do that. It's too painful. But those people that see you as just a commodity will gladly watch you take your last breath. They will cheer you on, only to move on because they realize the resource that you presented is concluded. Kind of same thing. It's kind of the same behaviors you do, my ladies, that you don't know what closure is. Who am I talking to? You're in a vested relationship, and instead of having the integrity to address what you need, you'll set up someone in the wings. Like jumping off of one bus to jump on another bus that's going nowhere, only to bring you back to where you began. Some of y'all are finally coming around that corner in your life that picked you up 20 plus years ago. Some of y'all 30 plus years ago. Some 40 years ago. You're finally getting off that stop. But that's exactly what it is. It's a stop. You never hear about someone say bus start. It's a stop. Maybe that stop is where you were supposed to stand. Maybe that was the place you were finally able to assess where you were, who was in your life, who was trying to gain access to it. Because you do have to understand this. If you didn't have anything that was viable, why would they be there? You ever thought about that? They say when the fool realizes that God exists, the earth will shake. Hasn't she been shaking for quite some time? We've gotten so tone deaf to the realities that calamity and destruction, we don't even stop and take note. Do you realize nationally there's so much flooding going on in a town near you, in a city near you, in a state near you, and people still go on with their business? Here's something you might want to keep in mind. With all this calamity going on, all this flooding going on, what about all the vehicles that are flooded? What about all the properties that have been flooded out? You know what's going to happen? Opportunists is going to come along and say, I'll make a buck out of that. And what's going to happen is those vehicles and those properties are going to get reduced. They're going to get cleaned up. And they're going to flood the market with all these vehicles at cut rate prices. Oh, yes, this vehicle costs $120,000, but I'll sell it to you for $65,000. Do you not see how they're coming at you like, well, don't worry. They'll take anything. Just put it out there. P.T. Barnum once said, a fool and his money will soon part. Well, there's a whole lot of fools getting hit with the okie doke, don't you think? And the question should be, why? But I told you, society queen, society wants you to play the role of the prostitute. It's strategic. You do understand that anything that's put out in public consumption must be decided upon in a boardroom somewhere. And it's done 2 years ahead of time before it makes it to the populace. Why? Because it must have distribution. So before it can have distribution, it must be decided on what is going to be promoted. The end goal is to sway your value. What is your moral compass? What will you accept? What will you not? I got something for y'all. It's kind of ironic. We had all that activity last week. We ain't heard not one thing about it this week. How's that? Had all that protesting going on. Where'd they go? Anybody thought about that? Where'd they go? Because it's strategic, y'all. See, you do understand. It's a known fact. And I challenge anyone that willing to do this for one whole week. 7 days. This is what I want you to do. I want you to cut that TV off, cut this laptop off, however you're receiving this, and your cell phone, unless it's a life or death situation, don't answer it. Don't answer it. You're saying, well, why are you saying that, Gerald? I'm going to tell you why. At the minimum, you will actually see the environment that you're in and the value that is placed upon your existence. You'll actually see who has your best interest compared to who sees you as a pawn. The question is, will you accept the truth? See, it's not your responsibility to go chase after Charlie. See, if Charlie valued himself, he would value you. And you'll notice that the people that genuinely have your best interest, they want to see the best for you, even if they're not a part of it. But see, we live on this merry-go-round called denial, y'all. And even Ice Cube said it best in 1987. He said there'll be a new fool next year, and that's why you see the cavalcade of stars. There's always somebody new, someone younger, willing and eager to please. They put her up there so that she can inspire your daughter, so he can inspire your son, the impressionable ones. Because see, even from a business standpoint, they know this. The younger you are, the more impressionable you can be, but no one loves even, there's no better support than a lifelong consumer. They love that. That's why when you look at your public schools, you're seeing sponsorship. Seeing sponsorship everywhere. Why? Because they know that that little boy and that little girl will compartmentalize their environment to grow up to have what we know is brand loyalty. Well, how ironic we don't have loyalty to our heart. Why is that? Now, I saw something the other day that it didn't surprise me, but I did start to see a changing of the guard when it comes to media presentation. And this is what I'm trying to explain. Queens, you do understand a lot of those people that you idolized and emulated. They're not looking so well these days, are they? You're starting to notice that those that fell under the knife are looking a little tired these days. You do understand that the body has a way. We call it muscle memory, but it's basic DNA. See, sooner or later, your body gets tired of your foolishness. And what is been replaced from what was given, your body has a way of rejecting it. Yeah, we could say it's your white blood cells. We could say that, but it's deeper. It's kind of like putting a car cover on an SUV. No matter how big it is, if it's not the original, it will never fit. And you're starting to see this now in our society, y'all, because you're seeing a lot of tired women. You see it here. I told you, your eyes are the window to the soul. Yeah, that is why it's very important that when you convey whatever it is of integrity, you look them in their eyes. Kind of notice nowadays when you have a conversation with somebody, they're so predisposed and stuff like that. It's because they're trying to process and outthink you. Who am I talking to? I got a feeling somebody right now is going through that right now. And I think you needed to hear that. See, the day of the opportunist is limited nowadays, y'all. You do know that. They're running out of time. They are running scared. The day of the false pedestal. Let me tell you something, Queens. If you look like the girl next door, you know, the girl that people just, oh, that's so and so. I want you to, I want to commend you because you didn't fall under the plight or the pressure to be like them. You stayed true to who you were. And guess what? You are what we call the black diamond. You're very, very precious. Why? Because every woman that fell prey to the influence of, well, I need a nip tuck here and I need to pull this back and I need to reduce this and I need to go over here, and you'll never get high enough. You'll never have enough money and you'll never feel whole. And unfortunately, you've seen it. You see it on these garbage TV shows out here, which I laugh because they want to use the banner of reality. That's not reality. How can you get reality from a puppet show? And that's exactly what's going on. Does it surprise you when the cameras go off and you don't see these people? And then when you see them, they look so tired. They look so beaten down. They look so disheveled. And then what happens? You see them again, and now they've graduated to become the patient. Now they're finally sitting down. Now they're finally dealing with their demons. Demons are real, y'all. A demon's sole purpose is to destroy your life. But see, I understand, because you might have that little boy that lives in a town with a dirt road and he dreams of stardom because that's what's put out there. That's what is that is the brass ring, so to speak. That is his way out. But no one shows the real person behind closed doors. You know, the person that you see sitting on the couch picking their toenails. Or the person that is digging in their nose. You don't see that person. Why? Because it doesn't make money. That's too real. That's reality TV. Meanwhile, another virus strain comes out in a town near you, in a city near you, in a state near you, to go after your health. You know, and I thought about it too. I thought about this. For those who live in, shouldn't matter. Have you noticed the amount of frogs lately? It's a wild frog. There has been a boom of, you go to that little standing man-made lake where you live at, and I guarantee you'll find thousands and thousands of tadpoles in that water, which will end up becoming frogs. Now, I know someone's going to say, well, Joe, that's the natural process of the food chain. Okay, could be. But does it seem like every time you turn around, there's a frog hopping over there, there's a turtle going over there, and you're like, well, how did he get here? You do remember, y'all, biblically in the last days, that was one of the plagues too. Y'all forgot about that? See, we are living in the last days, y'all. We are living in Sodom and Gomorrah. You do that, that's right? You do understand it, right? That's why people have this mindset like Digital Underground. Do what you like. They've even convinced you and said, you only live once. Why not? Yeah, but if it costs you your life, is it worth it? Is it worth the pain you're feeling right now, possibly? Deep down inside, most people will not admit this. All they want is to feel emotionally safe. Free like a bird. Yeah, yeah. You just want to fly and spread your wings. But you can't fly because you realize there's a brick with a string tied to your foot. Why is that? Because that's a false narrative. That's a false reality. But that reality will be until you decide to love yourself more. Why in 2016 we have so many people angry? I think it's kind of funny, figuratively, because they say, well, that's just a black woman angry. That's just how it is. No, it's not. Because before she became that black woman, she was someone's daughter. But you know what I haven't heard? That angry woman. I have yet to hear a woman say, you know what? I made those choices. I chose that. I was warned about that. I didn't listen. And the reality of that is what influences my position now. Why? Because most women believe that they're not heard. Really, the frustration is the little girl inside you talking to you, saying, why won't you love me? Why are you sleeping with that man for money? Why are you getting in that car? Why are you letting that person in your house? Why aren't you loving your children? Why are you getting high? But see, when you try to address these things with love and compassion, what do? You and these women become mothers. So guess what, mama? The wounds that you carry ends up becoming the tools that you rear your children in. And they look at it as normal. Hence, the generational curse has transcended to another generation. Why is it in 2016 we're so divided? Why? We're so strong, but yet we're broken. We used to have this thing about the Bloody Mary thing. Y'all remember? Say her name 3 times in the dark, but you can't speak your truth once. The problem is some of these children grow up without any consequences. They have no clue, and they end up becoming the next contestants on Who Wants to Be a Victim. Who wants to be exploited? Who wants to be loved? Who told you that it was your responsibility to find your mate? Who told you to do that? I'll tell you. All those people that didn't want you to have one. You ever thought about that? Meanwhile, you're turning around saying, well, I just need to do some Kegels, Gerald. No, you need to turn around and value your life. Because you do understand that all that you acquire, if it's not blessed, you're going to lose. And you're going to get the lesson from that loss. How about that relationship you had that you didn't deserve? You ever thought about that? Is it by chance that's why you treat the child that way? Because that's he or she's a living reminder of a choice you made? You ever thought about that? Let me throw this out here too. In December, there is a play that's been made into a movie. I hope that you guys will take the time to go see it. I think a lot of families need to see it, especially men. It's called Fences. Fences, Fences. The play was originally done by James Earl Jones. I'm pretty sure that it may be here on YouTube, but Denzel Washington and Viola Davis did the movie, and it's going to be released in December. And I really hope that that movie will bridge the gap between the child-parent dynamic, because deep down inside, unless you were born with a heart of ice, it'll melt some of that pain off of you. Now, here's something I want to speak on, too. Queen, you know I love you. I do. That's why I put these videos out. And I hope that in the intended time and moment, some of what you've heard me convey reaches you. But I want you to understand something. You understand that you are God's greatest gift to man. You are the wildflower to the world. That's why there is so many, all shapes, all colors, beautiful in your own right. But until you're able to stand in front of that mirror and tell that little girl inside how much you love them, how much you need them, you will never understand where you're headed. Your life is not supposed to be like a maze, y'all. Your life is not supposed to be having a ticket to nowhere. Mm-mm. The greatest story you'll ever know is your life. But society has convinced a lot of you, instead of thinking with your brain, you think with your vagina. You think, well, as long as I got this Amex, I can get whatever I want. Don't you realize there are some people that are willing to want to make it, they want you to spend that credit until you deplete yourself? Who am I talking to? Why are you with that person and they treat you like garbage? I'll tell you why. Because they also know that they can get away with it and you're going to play the martyr. See, all things come full circle. You do understand that, right? You need to take that in. Whatever you speak into existence will be your lesson or blessing. Even in time of despair. But until you are willing to protect this, now I'm not saying, when I say protect this, y'all, I'm not saying take a position of resentment or take a position of shallowness or a position of denial. You know what happens to those people? You get wore out. You get exploited. But here's the kicker. You're put in the front row to watch you go through your pain. And then guess what? They give you the DVD to put it inside your brain so you'll remember. Who am I talking to? Somebody's waking up right now in a town near you, in a city near you, in a state near you, right now. And they're saying, why did I do that? Why did I allow that to happen? I thought I'd never do that. That's why you hear people say never. And meanwhile, guess what? They laughing. Because just like words, you can't take them back once they come from your mouth. Whatever happened to the little boy that cried wolf? He got ate. That's not your story, but it can be your testimony. We teach people, I want you to understand, we teach people how to be treated. You do understand that, right? And I know somebody's saying, well, Gerald, I got a good heart. I was one of the good ones. I supported the men that were in my life, and they all left me. Okay? Well, let me give you a sigh of relief on something. If what you're saying is true, you know what's going to happen? The same behavior that they did you, someone's going to do to them times 10. They're going to learn that lesson by you not being there. That's why when you hear people that are bigging up, oh, well, I want to be in a polyamorous relationship. Polyamorous relationships are some of the most non-accountability relationships you ever, and most lonely. Why? Because all that is a social assess. There's nothing but a social attempt to accept living in a cesspool. Who am I talking to? Think about it. You with him, you screwing him, he's screwing her, she's screwing him, she's screwing him. The commonality, their DNA is in you. How about their spirit? That's where demons do their best work. They do their best work. That's what God said it to man. Honor thy temple. Your temple is your foundation. In the literal sense, is your body. If you don't take care of your body, guess what? Your body's not going to take care of you. You think that you're supposed to be waking up to take 15 pills just to make it through the day? Who am I talking to? To keep yourself sane? You think you're supposed to be? You think that's your reality? The devil's a liar. Let me tell you something. There's no money in cures. There's money in sustainment. You want to get off those pills? Start loving on yourself. How about start taking care of yourself? How about drinking your water? How about alkaline yourself? How about taking proper vitamins? How about cut back on those processed foods? You ever thought about that? Because we're living in a society where basically, I hope this never comes to pass, but you know how when they show they say like a pig farmer, and he's got that trough of scraps, right? He got whatever they don't want, they throw it in that trough, and you got all these pigs right there, right? They've got it to a system now. They got the trough and they got the little hose, little funnel, and they just go on there and suck onto it. Well, Think about what happens when you eat food that is not properly grown, or digest food that maybe that's the reason why you having issues with your mood swings. You ever thought about that? How about your libido? Sex drive is through the roof, and you're thinking it's him. Nah, it ain't him. He's just a tool. It's your environment that stimulates you. But the fallback is you can't go to sleep. You got to take a pill to counteract the pill you took during the day. Why? Because of this. See, your greatest asset next to your time, next to your spirit, is your mind. Who am I talking to? That's why they say where the mind goes, the body flows. So with that said, if your mind is not healthy, your decision making will not be healthy. And then you say, well, Gerald, you know, I'm like Stella. I just want to get my groove on now. Okay. Well, explain this to me. Why do you have to treat your life or your body like you're at the grocery store? You notice the grocery store has so many things to choose from. And what do you see people do? Especially in the produce section. You pick it up, you smell it, you thump it, we check the weight, and then what do? Can I get it on sale? That's what people do. And that's what they're doing to you. They're seeing if I can get you at the most reduced price. So there's the transaction. My time invested by my revenue spent. Supply, demand. Pimp, prostitute. Prostitute, John. No accountability, just transfer of time and currency. Doesn't uplift your self-esteem. But if that's all that you've seen, if that's all you saw your dad doing, having a cavalcade of women coming through, you're going to think that's how a man's supposed to act. Mom always got Mr. Bob, Uncle Jim. Well, that lie goes but so far. But then they don't afford the fact that children are very intelligent. Their sole purpose from the first moment that they take their breath is to learn. That is why the responsibility of the parent, it is so important. But if you don't know who you are, how are you going to be able to convey? You can't. And a lot of you know that. A lot of you are starting to wake up. So what does society say? Okay, that's true. But you don't need a man. You need Charlene. Charlene knows what another woman needs. Get with her. She'll be more loyal. She'll be the emotional crutch you need. Sure, until you piss Charlene off. And all those midnight discussions, who am I talking to? She uses that against you to hurt you more. Why? Because you should have never been with Charlene to begin with. Lost and turned out. But see, society, I know, there's a double standard. Society rewards bad behavior. Sow your oats. You're a young man. We want you to go out there and learn what it takes. So when it's time, you can claim her. This is what they said. But guess what? God was not in that at all. Why you think you got that herpes bump? Why do you think STDs exist? 2016, we don't have a cure for that yet? How about good old-fashioned HIV? We don't talk about that no more these days. Why is that? Why is it we don't talk about HIV? I remember in the 80s they were marching. Yes, they said it's the gay person's disease. Then they said, oh, they got it from monkeys. Then they said, oh, well, you know, it's a blood, you know, it's blood. You know, it happens. Okay. All right. You believe that if you want to. 2016, we have some of the most advanced technology in the medical field today. You telling me you can't turn around and screen your plasma to see what's good and what's not? No, because they base that off of the highest bidder. How much you value your life. Don't believe me? Look at Magic Johnson. I remember I was 17, no, I was 18, almost 19 when that story broke. I remember that. I remember that press conference. Magic look good today, don't he? But little Tyrone, Tyrone's on borrowed time. Little Susie, she got 6 months to live. So that tells me right there, they put a price tag on your mortality. What? God said it already. Everything that you need has been placed in the earth. How ironic. When you take your last breath, what happens? You go in the earth. We are part of it. He made us from clay. You can use a metaphor as how you wish, but you know what I'm saying. But does it negate the fact that we are walking and talking hypocrites? I remember there was a time when a woman will be in your midst and she will correct you. I'm not down here. I'm up here. Nowadays, she down there will bend over and bust it open just for you to say hello. Why? Why is that little girl in a woman's body feeling that she has to go beyond the call of duty just to feel the touch of a stranger? Do you realize there's somebody waking up out of a bed that they don't know? Some, the measurement won't be realized for weeks to come. Some will feel it instantaneously as they leave. Oh, he was interesting, but now it's morning as we lay. That's not your story. That's why Prince made Thieves in the Temple. People didn't understand what he was saying. He was saying from a spiritual standpoint, protect yourself or the thieves will come. Doesn't matter how much security you got on your heart. We all know that's a facade. That's why when you're in the midst of a real man, how about a spiritual one? They have the ability to bring that little girl out. Why? Because you're witnessing what blessed and inner peace is. But see, society wants you to believe that, Oh, that ain't nothing, Gerald. Everything you say, that sounds so fairy tale-ish. Well, if your life is a hell, if you're living in a nightmare, if you are in a reality that you just want to wake up from, who am I talking to? You saying to yourself, how did I get here? It was good yesterday. I don't understand how I got there. What? Because the devil was sitting there and said, I got you. I got you. And he gonna ride you. He gonna ride you. You can't run from you. That's not your story. But I can trump that because that's why God also says this. Those who are last shall be made first, and those who are first shall be made last. Why? I'm going to teach you humility. I'm going to teach you to love yourself. Yeah, you're going to go through some storms. You're going to be up to here in your pain. But long as you can see, long as you can think, you can embrace. You don't believe me? Ask those quadriplegic that are paralyzed from the neck down. Yeah, this is still functioning. Why? Because they believe. And God still has a purpose for them. But as long as you keep believing in man, you'll be divided. You don't believe me? Look at your little girlfriends. Your girlfriends, they all single. You the one in the relationship. You think they ain't plotting so that you can be like them? They don't have the courage to tell the truth that they are jealous. They won't tell you the truth that secretly, in that little drawer that they got, oh, they fantasize about your man. That's why they're quick to tell you, he ain't no good for you, but he just right for me. And in the midnight hour, they're going to test it. Who am I talking to? That's why our queens, y'all have a certain, you have a loyalty to your gender, but you don't have no cut cards either, because you know the caliber of what you will do, the depths that you will sink to obtain your next pain. Who am I talking to? So look at it now. I happen to be channel surfing lately. You know me. I try to steer clear from BS. But I happened to step on Oprah Winfrey's channel, and I happened to catch an episode of Ayanna Van Dance new series for this season, and she's trying to debunk the angry black woman stereotype. And I noticed that out of the panel of women that were selected, some were celebrities, some were not. The commonality is they all dealt with betrayal at a young age. And they didn't have a support system to protect them. Some dealt with abandonment issues because of their father. Some had issues with their mothers. Some, unfortunately, were physically abused in regards to molestation. And this was the foundation that they built their lives off of. They felt that, well, I get more respect when I show this disposition, but they never took accountability of the price that it would cause or the doors that would be open from these choices and the people that it attracts. That's why I told y'all from day one, the energy out is energy received. What is found in your spirit will make up your reality. You tired of that dude smacking you around, treating you like a prostitute? You can count the stars and the moons how much you love this dude and confess your love, but it's like talking in Portuguese to him. But you won't leave him. You know why you're going through that? Because you did that to somebody else. And that was behavior condoned. Some of you have made a choice to use infidelity as a tool instead of using your intellect. And here's the crazy part. Here's the crazy part. You always hear women say, I'm strong. I don't need a man. I can do this on my own. Now, this is no shade to your mentality in regards to your mind. There are some very intelligent people on this planet that are women. But I also understand this. Two people going in different directions can't go forward. You know why? Because you're not yoked. It's more accepted nowadays to be lovers than friends. And what ends up happening is the moment the truth is spoken, then you see the real person. And you're like, wait a minute, who is this? This is the same person that you welcomed in your bed. So what happens? You say, well, okay, I'm going to fix this and I'm going to use my natural gift of nurturement because God made you woman to create this man in the image I envision. Only for him to hurt you. You know why? Because what was going on was free will. You willfully allowed this man in your life. You didn't even know his middle name. You didn't even know his direction. You didn't know what he stood for. You measured him by what was found in his pocket or the length of his genitalia, not his character. And in turn, you rolled the dice, hoping that he would be that 7, only to crap out the moment he said hello. This is not shade. This is to let you know you've always deserved better. But until you can treat yourself better, how about allow yourself to heal? How about allow yourself to go within that person you are, the real you. I'm talking about the you that nobody gets to see. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That beautiful person that you're afraid to show because you say, well, you know what? On my spare time. But you dumb down just to be in their circle. Maybe that's not the circle you were supposed to be in with anyway. Or you do it the opposite way. Well, you know what, Joe? I'm going to fake it to make it. And if that means I got to give a little tail to open that door, comes with the territory. But you are the one that ends up crying. You are the one that ends up being the butt of the joke. You are the one that ends up a distant memory. You are the one that ends up feeling the coldness of this world. How about a mother left to raise her young? But here you go. Meanwhile, that devil is like, gotcha. Oh, I got you now. Mm-hmm. So you try to flip it and say, well, you know what? I'm going to learn from those mistakes, but I'm going to embrace those traits. And before you get me, I'm going to get you, end up hurting even more. And then you go through this phase of, well, you know what? I got needs, Gerald. I got desires. So I got this drawer over here with got all these gadgets from Home Depot. Stop laughing. Home Depot. Yeah, I got a membership at Batteries Plus. Yeah, stop laughing. And you know, Bob don't argue with me. Bob is there. Yeah, but Bob will never replace what you need in your heart. Bob can never give you that conversation. Bob will never be able to say, well, how's your day today? How you feeling? Come on. Uh, let's go out to eat. No, that's okay. Why don't you just go take a bath and relax? I'll cook us some. How about let's turn on some music and just enjoy our company of being together? Bob can't do that. All Bob does is know how to moan and groan. Who am I talking to? And when you think about it, that's a lonely life. It is. But that's a life that you're choosing. That's a life that you're depriving yourself with. Let me throw this out here. You do understand the things that you refuse to speak with your heart manifest. So, in other words, what I'm saying, the things that you refuse to embrace, uh, as long as you refuse to acknowledge what is going on and champion it, you will lack. And those lacks will persist until you have the fortitude and the courage to claim yourself back. You realize how many people are willfully with the wrong person? Well, Gerald, I didn't want to be a statistic, So I married old Henry over here. But Henry is broken too. Henry looking at you is, damn, that's best like, ooh, and he gonna hold on. But Henry will never love you. He will never love you like you need. From the outside, he will give you everything you want. Get in an argument, here you go. Keep confusion down, here you go. Because Henry was taught to diffuse the situation instead of address it. And unfortunately, Henry grows up, that's still that little broken boy, into an aged man. Who am I talking to? That's not your story. Your story was not, oh, I basically socially prostituted myself because my low self-esteem. So anybody that was willing to say hello, I just opened my legs to, like the golden arches, like McDonald's. My self-esteem has been battered so much that, yeah, he can call me out of my name anytime he wants, and I'll come running to him. Yeah, when he get mad, he go upside my head like a speed bag. But that's okay. I'm still loyal because I'm a ride or die. Guess what? You're gonna die. You're gonna die. We'll be reading about you on the internet. Either because you got a new stencil with your numbers on it, or somebody's lowering you in that ground. You do realize there are people in a cemetery, in a town near you, in a city near you, in a state near you that should not be. Should not be. We've gotten so conditioned, y'all. You can look on the news and they'll tell you the story. You already saying, oh, that's a white dude. That was a domestic situation. We don't do stuff like that. And then boom, you realize, yes, we do. Why are we celebrating bad behavior? Why are we so loyal to our pain? Is it because secretly you're afraid to be alone and you're willing to just long? You're like, I don't care as long as they're in my life. I heard someone tell me, well, you know what, Gerald? I would accept a piece of a man, a piece, than be alone. Don't you understand? Sometimes you're gonna be by yourself to work on the things you need to. You put the price tag on your life, not them. Doesn't matter if you look like a porcelain doll. You realize how many porcelain doll looking women are by themselves? And what they got to show for it? A bunch of dysfunctional children being reared in an environment of watching their mom put her emotions in her alcohol. Or she's sitting there, she got the latest gossip, but she has no skills to heal herself. How about have a conversation with God? And I get a kick out of that because I see that too. You got all these sanctified ladies out here. She got that big old hat with sunglasses on in church. But yet she was busting it open 48 hours before. Well, I'm in church. No, you're a hypocrite. And you're going to reap what you sow. Why do you think, Queens, there's such a pandemic now about ovarian cancer these days? How about ovarian cysts? Well, we don't talk about that. We don't want to talk about the image that we have of a mama, a sister. We don't want to admit that she ran the block. That's why she will never speak her truth. She'll never admit how many partners she's been with. Why? Because the shame comes out of it. So she ignores it. She deflects it. She spends half her life processing it, even though she's with someone now. She's with someone now, but her heart is with someone else. Had someone to tell me, well, you know what, Gerald, I married for security. So you willfully became that man's property. What separates you from the woman walking the block? You put a price tag on your happiness. How about the safety of your children? How about the inspiration for that little boy? Why? Because he's riding a brand new vehicle. He's put you in a big old house. Don't you know a big old house and big rims can be the house of horrors? Looking good on the outside. He bouncing you off those walls. You treat your body like a bowling ball. But you so shallow, you will endure instead of build it yourself. How about heal and grow and allow God to bring the man in that's got the other side of your life? You ever thought about that? No, you didn't, because most women say there's no good men. And you're exactly right. There is no good men in your view because you're not a good woman. God's not going to give you your blessing for you to destroy it. He will show it to you, though. He'll show it to you. He'll make sure that the message is sent because he's a custom tailored God. Why do you think people come back, y'all? People will always come back in your life. That's a validation for, number one, how unique you are. If not, they would keep it moving. And the only difference is the person who walks in pride, they silently take it, they take accountability, they own it, and they keep it moving. You know why they do that? Because it's too painful to see it. Then they have to admit, well, you know, I would have been with you. I would have had a life with you. But because of the choices I made, it cost me that. First of all, you're not God. And guess what? Loves build bridges. Pride destroys them. But you can't kill love. Love only transforms. So, if all you know is deception, if all you know is debauchery, if all you know is being promiscuous, what's the common denominator? Does it surprise you? It's like taking a filter, right? Taking a filter, and you putting your life on top, right? And you're sifting it, right? Shouldn't all the impurities be left and all that you need come out? That sifter is your truth. But most people, you could show them, you can see the errors of their ways, you can help them identify it, and they still won't believe you. Those are the people that have given up on their lives, and all they want to do is waste yours. That is why you hear people say, well, I love them, but I love them from afar. You know why? It's too painful to watch these people die. Because inside, they're dead. Why do you think it's that color? Because you're allowing people that should not hear you breathe inflict you. How about affect you? Come on, man. So now we got this. People want to turn around and debunk the angry black woman. No, the black woman is angry because she's mad at that little girl who's demanding the best of her. And she's had a war inside herself the whole time. Well, guess what? That's a war you ain't gonna win. Because that little girl deserves to be protected. She deserves to be loved. She deserves to be uplifted. She deserves to be empowered. But if you don't know you, you'll be exploited. You'll be manipulated. You'll be enabled. And you will not know who you are. God is praying for you. You know I am. I see your worth. And for that, it helps me discern mine. If you know you are down, why are you treating your life like it's a penny? Just something to think about.